Welcome, guys. This is Lord William Brawmartin, and I am here with Samuel Harrington, one of the governor of the East India Trading Company Roleplay. Today we'll be discussing we'll be discussing a complete history of the EITC Roleplay from 2008 till 2018. So I just would like to welcome my audience now to Samuel Harrington, one of the founders of the EITC.
Well, I appreciate the introduction, William. First thing I wanted to make clear is you did make a slight mistake in your introduction. You said that this will be a history of 2018. It will actually be a history up to September of 2013, because I only go as far as the ending Pirates of the Caribbean, but you are more than willing to fill everybody else in on the details of the Legend of Pirates Online.
Sure. Yeah,
which, as we all know, is a recreation of Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean Online.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Yeah, the main focus points we'll be doing today are from 2008 till 2013. The rest we could see how things go. So let's go ahead and let me make sure everything is going smoothly with the live stream. We should be okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this started then with you, Samuel. For the people that are watching in the future, let's go ahead and explain what the East India Trading Company is.
So there are a couple of different fronts that I could approach this from. Could you be more specific? Do you want the historical, in terms of reality, the history of the East India Company, or are you talking in terms of the Pirates of the Caribbean realm, the whole of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, what the East India Trading Company is, or do you mean as it specifically pertains to roleplay?
Go ahead.
Or I can incorporate all three if you'd like me to. I mean, it.
Let's go ahead and we gotta make. We don't want to, we want to keep things rolling here. So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of what the East India Trading Company was factually in the real world, and then how that pertains to what we're about to talk about the roleplay events in POTCO, how that correlates to that. And then we'll begin with the first moments of you and POTCO, and we'll go from there with the factual events of the EITC.
So factual is in facts of the game, or factual is in actual historical?
Actual historical events that happen inside the game, inside the roleplay.
Oh, so that's where you want me to start?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that, but we'll start with what the EITC is.
Okay, so in terms of roleplay, the East India Trading Company, and it would essentially be the same for the whole of the Pirates of the Caribbean lore, so to speak. The East India Trading Company is, as we all know, a mirror of the realistic East India Company. It's a massive trading company that was created by merchants from London that traded spices and other various goods, tobacco. Hell, there's even rumors that there's a lot of cannabis traded as well, silk, other precious cargo, as that was traded from the East Indies and the Indian subcontinent into Europe and into the New World.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I want to specify here is that realistically, the East India Company in actual history actually never really traded in what was known as the West Indies or the Caribbean region, but in the Pirates of the Caribbean realm, the East India Trading Company has a very prominent role in the Caribbean region. So that is a distinction that I did want to make, and that's essentially what the East India Trading Company is. It would be similar to any of the major corporations that exist today. It's a privatized corporation. It operates independently. It is a company that is owned, like I said today. There are many companies that operate the same way, owned by shareholders who then have voting power. They can vote on specific people, the CEOs, the president of the board of directors, people like that. And it's the same way that the East India Trading Company would have been operated. So I didn't come into the game, the whole of the game, until 2007, November of 2007. But my career in the East India Trading Company within Roleplay began in late 2008, probably September or October of 2008. So that's when I met Pablo Swordmaster and Giratino Origin Form, and they're the ones that really brought me in to the whole of Roleplay as it concerns the East India Trading Company, and really kick-started my career, so to speak. So before that, I was just, another average player on the game, making friends, joining guilds here and there, seeing what the game has to offer. And then I met these two, and that's when my career in Roleplay, like I said, that they got it kick-started, and we built a guild. It was Pablo Swordmaster's guild. Pablo was really the one with the idea behind all of this. He's the one that really was the drive and the motivation to pursue this, because the thing is that EITC Roleplay the whole of the Roleplay community didn't really ever have a Kickstarter, because, as you know, as many of the listeners, I'm assuming, know, in the later years of the game and of Roleplay, the community developed and became far more than what it was when it originally started. And that realm of Roleplay, it didn't really get a solid foundation in the game until about 2009, when the Blackguard Cometh event happened in Pirates of the Caribbean Online and Potco. But leading up to that, me, Pablo Swordmaster, Giratino Origin Form, and later met members such as Ben Costello, who was later exiled, Nathaniel Scurvy Skull, Lord Davy Menace, they got involved and helped to build up the first EITC Roleplay Guild, and what I would consider probably the first Roleplay Guild in terms of that level of Roleplay in the game, in Potco. It's called the EITC's Elites. And again, Pablo Swordmaster was the Guildmaster. Giratina really served as the second in command, and then I kind of stepped up as the third, being the third one of the mix that kind of joined in. Davy Menace was probably fourth, and then Nathaniel Scurvy was fifth, and then there was Ben Costello and all the other guild members. The guild really actually stayed under about 100 members until the Blackguard Cometh event happened, because, like I said, Roleplay didn't really have a solid foundation until this event had come along, because it didn't spur up the excitement, the intrigue that people felt in Roleplay, because during that time, during May to probably July, I mean, we ended up with 3 guilds all maxed. So that's 1,500 individuals in total. 500 is a maxed guild, as we all know. So the first stages of developing Roleplay were actually fairly slow. There wasn't a lot of activity. There wasn't a lot of support in the community, mainly because we weren't established. You had these PvP guilds, the SVS guilds. These guys were established, like Emerald Sea Gang, the Guardians. Like these were guilds that people knew. People didn't really know Roleplay guilds then, but when the game masters, the GMs got involved in Roleplay, that really shook it up. That really changed the game, and that's when we became popular.
What guilds would you say that you were a part of when you were trying to establish yourself as the East India Trading Company, but you were being frustrated because of all the other established guilds? What guilds were around, would you say?
What was that again?
The EITC guilds that you were working on at the time that you were struggling to build.
What about them?
What were the names of them? What were they?
Well, prior to the Blackguard Cometh event, there was really only the EITC's Elites. We didn't create the other 2 guilds until the Blackguard Cometh event, because the EITC's Elites ended up maxing out, again, because of the massive popularity that Roleplay had seen, because now the game masters were getting involved. Like I said, that event really stirred everything up. But the second guild that was created by Lord Davy Menace, and that was Black Mercenaries. And then that maxed out, and somebody who was in that guild, Nathaniel Scurvy Skull, who helped Davy Menace build it up, ended up creating Black Mercenary 2. And so we had those 3 guilds at one point. And those three guilds were the foundation of what all of modern roleplay, even as it extends in the Legend of Pirates Online, TLOPO, really form the foundation of what it is and how it operates. And being a veteran role player, I mean, I can look into roleplay today and I can see, it's reminiscent of how things operated in 2009. So those three guilds were the first roleplay empire and the first EITC roleplay empire, and they were active. We had a lot of fun, but there were challenges. We had opposition from two of the largest pirate guilds, both Spania and McRaging, and that resulted in wars. PvPs and SVS took place left and right, but we definitely made a stand, and we definitely made a name for ourselves, and that's really what legitimized the EITC roleplay society. Our group of people. That's what legitimized the foundation of the roleplay community in the Pirates Online realm.
You said that there were people that were in the EITC that broke off under your under the branch of the EITC to make their own guilds. Who were those people, and what guilds did they do? What guilds did they make?
Are you referring to the Black Mercenary and Black Mercenary 2 with Lord Davy Menace and Nathaniel Scurbiskull being the guild masters respectively? Well, by the time that we were creating, Pablo was still around when Black Mercenary was formed, and both me and Pablo encouraged him to do it. We said, this guild's maxed out, and we still have people wanting to get involved. Like, when I say that we were active, we were very, very actively. This was something people wanted to be a part of. And because there were other guilds getting involved in the roleplay community on the pirate side, and it created an environment that fostered a community of people that could come together and actually use a role-playing game, for what it's meant to be used for. And that's what we did. So we encouraged Lord Davy Menace to start this other guild, and Nathaniel offered to go with him. Nathaniel Scurbiskull offered to go with him and help him build that guild up. And within about a month or so, that guild was almost maxed, if not maxed. And then it was after that, Pablo Swordmaster ended up getting banned. He had an incident with another user on the game and ended up getting his account. I don't know if it was terminated and he ended up getting his account restored, or if he was just banned and ended up waiting several years to return, but he ended up coming back much, much, much later. But I stepped up and became the head of the East India Trading Company roleplay when he was terminated, and that's where my career as the head of what would now be referred to as the governor of the court of directors, that's where my career in that role started. And I told Nathaniel Scurbiskull to create a third guild. And I sent him a few people. After this moment, Ben Costello had been exiled because he had tried to attain power after it had already been decided that I should succeed Swordmaster as the head of the EITC. So he was removed from the guild, and I've, quite frankly, have never heard from him since. But I authorized Nathaniel Scurbiskull to create Black Mercenary 2, and so by the end of July of 2009, we had probably 1,300, 1,400 members. And then by the end of August, all three of the guilds had been maxed, and that's when we had 1,500 members. That's actually, we had the Battle of King's Head in early August, if I remember correctly. I will never forget the day we took Tortuga Abasa. That was in June. That was in, I think, mid-June, if I remember correctly. Probably in the teens, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere in there. But those are legendary battles, both of them. The original taking of Tortuga Abasa, many people attempted it and failed. I don't think Benjamin McMorgan was one of those people, but I might be wrong. I know Leon, when he had pursued his false claim to the head of the EITC, tried to take Tortuga Abasa and failed miserably.
Yeah, let's talk about Leon. Let's talk about Leon.
Well,
when did he come into the picture?
Leon actually didn't really come into the play until almost a year after I left the game, because in late August I actually left the game.
Of what year?
Ended up late August of 2009, I would have left the game. And this is when Benjamin McMorgan, pardon me, reign really began over the company. This is when he created Co-Empire, and that because after I left, Nathaniel Sturgill left before me, and so did Davey Menace, and their guilds kind of slowly deteriorated. And then I left, and the EITC's elite slowly deteriorated, and those guilds completely vanished. And so Benjamin McMorgan came along with Co-Empire and really kind of reigned. And I don't know the details, the finer details of what exactly happened, but I do know that his guild ended up being dissolved.
Leon.
And that happened. No, Benjamin McMorgan's guild Co-Empire ended up being dissolved. This is before Leon, or at least before Leon, as far as I know. I don't think he had any affiliation. If he played the game, he had no affiliation with Roleplay up until the moment he met me. So, McMorgan's guild was dissolved, and his reign did not last very long. It was from late August, early September of 2009 to, I think, very early 2010, February, March, maybe January, because I returned in March of 2010, and for the first few weeks that I played the game, I didn't really do much, and then that's when I met Daniel, who was in the Co-Empire, which was a recreation of McMorgan's guild by somebody who worked under McMorgan. His name is Diego. His character's name was just Diego. I joined his guild. It had probably about 180 members in it when I first joined, and Daniel's the one that brought me in. He said he was the one kind of running the guild. He said it's a dead guild, but that guild? He's been in it for so long. What's this?
What guild are we? Let's remind our audience what guild we're talking about right
now. The Co-Empire.
The Co-Empire.
Which was created and owned by Diego.
Okay.
It was a recreation of Benjamin McMorgan's guild, which was just Co-Empire, because Diego had served in that guild. And within about a month, maybe 5 weeks of being in that guild, I had it over 400 members. Me and Daniel really, really worked hard. Diego came online one day, and Daniel told him just, the help that I've done to help grow the guild back up and bring the population back to a more appropriate level, so to speak. He promoted me to an officer and actually made me essentially the de facto guildmaster because he was inactive the majority of the time. I never actually had a personal conversation with Diego. The one time I teleported to him, he was AFK, so there's not going to be a conversation there. But he made me the de facto guildmaster, and I named Daniel second in command, and we built that guild. At one point, I don't think I ever had it maxed to the extent that it actually hit 500 members, but we did grow the guild to over 400. He grew it to, I believe, 460 or 70 something members was what it was at its max. And this was really the start of my, I don't like to use this word, but my quote-unquote reign, so to speak, after my return was through this guild. It's also the guild that I met the infamous Captain Leon in. And when I first met him was on, it was either Isla de la Recia or El de Table de Porc, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of the two SVS islands. And he came to me and he said he knew about me, he's heard of my history, he's fascinated by it, and he just really wants to be involved. And I said, I remembered the first conversation I had with him, but it concerns his name. I was like, your name says Captain Lee, and I think I'm going to make you a captain. That's going to be your rank starting off. And from there, over the next month or so, me and him actually grew very close. I would have considered him a good friend. And he rose to third in command. But he wanted a spot. Back then, at least in terms of role play, we didn't have a court of directors. We didn't have an office of the Lord Marshal. We didn't have the formal structure that we have today in the East India Trading Company. So I guess you could say that the proto form of the court of directors would have been the Council of the Elders, which consisted of 13 members. He wanted a seat on the Council of the Elders, and I told him that I've appreciated all of his hard work and his assistance to me, but he hasn't been in long enough to
Leon.
be considered for spot. And yes, Leon. And I told him that the decision isn't up to me. I have to ask every other member that is currently seated. And I can tell you right now, a majority of them are probably going to say no because they don't really even know you. And I said, you rose to the ranks quickly because of me, because I have a lot of trust and a lot of faith in you and your ability, but I can't solely make the decision. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't know it, but I guess it angered him, and I teleported to him. I was going to, talk to him about a little more, explain what was going on. And he was conspiring with, namely, William Darkvein and several others. I can't remember their names. And mind you, we're still in the guild, the Co-Empire, at this point in time. And they were conspiring against me and wanted to name Leon the leader of the East India Trading Company. And I said, well, good luck with that. You don't really have the numbers nor the alliances I do, because this was also the time that Duchess of Anamois, Francis Bluehawk, Jack Swordrage, these people played the game, and they were heavily involved in roleplay. And Francis Bluehawk owned Francis Brigade, which is a guild anybody from the 2010 to 2012 time period should know about, was on my side. And Francis Brigade was not a small guild. It was, in fact, a maxed guild, I do believe. And Francis Bluehawk was actually a pretty close friend of mine, as was Jack Swordrage, who was in Francis Brigade, as was Duchess of Anamois. And they were all actually members of, how do I word this? They were upstanding members of the roleplay community. All four of us were. And I had their alliance, so I wasn't concerned about this rebellion that Leon was attempting. Over the 5 months that me and him warred, we often referred to as the Leonic War, or the EITC Civil War, he had at least 8 guilds. At least. I had... Well, fuck me standing. I had 2, I think? I'm trying to remember. Yes, because I started the war in the Co-Empire, and that guild just kind of fell apart. And that's when I created Black Officers, which thrived, which is actually the guild that I met you in late 2010. Rather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about October of 2010.
Well, I was going to ask you, when did
Black Officers was thriving. That's when you came into the picture. And who was it? Now that I think of it, I think it might have been Johnny Goldtimbers that originally introduced you to me. I can't. It was Breesley. It might have been. It was one of the two.
Because I remember I was friends with Breesley at the time. I didn't know he was the King of England, and I teleported to him, and you guys were on an island or something, and you guys were, like, circled.
Well, I know Johnny Goldtimbers was there, at least, because that motherfucker was everywhere. But, yeah, the war with Leon came to an end probably December, I believe. December of 2010. And that was when me and Johnny Goldtimbers destroyed Black Officers and took Co-Black Guard and built Co-Black Guard up. And that's when we began the first Paradoxian War against Pearson Wright. Because him and Leon were allied, and they both lost when I destroyed Leon by taking his guild.
How did Pearson come in?
Pearson originally came in August, or September of 2010, 2 months into the war. As wanting to ally with me, but he told me that while I could still manage the East India Trading Company as I saw fit, he wanted me to join his guild and be a part of his Ranger Council. See, this is when Pearson Wright still had that Caribbean Rangers. It was his guild. It was a large and fairly formidable guild. But the weird thing is, from the moment I met him, I could tell that Pearson Wright was a controlling person, just by the way that he carried himself, by the way that he acted, and that eventually I told him that while I don't have anything against him, I can't be allies with him. I cannot ally myself with him. It's not feasible, and some other of my allies are not necessarily in favor of that, namely Francis Bluehawk, who was pretty much my main ally. Mm-hmm. So he ended up teaming up with Leon. And that's when Leon created his final guild before he created Cobalt Guard, called Grand Co-Empire, I believe, is what
Leon?
it was called.
Leon?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he created Cobalt Guard, and when I saw the name, I knew immediately I had the guild. And I knew that Leon was intelligent, and he was, but he was also gullible. Mm-hmm. And I told him that I wanted Cobalt Guard, and I would give him black officers if he gave me Cobalt Guard. And it was a stupid decision to make because me and Johnny ended up, and Johnny will tell you this, we ended up destroying black officers when we could have just not given it to him in the first place. We gave him a destroyed guild instead of just not giving it to him in the first place. And kind of destroyed the empire that I had, because black officers literally had like 480-something people in it when we fucking destroyed it. But me and him built Cobalt Guard up and maxed it out. So that kind of makes up for that. And then that's when Pearson declared war on Cobalt Guard, and that was the spark of the first Paradoxian War.
Because Pearson declared war because he lost with Leon.
Yes, that's my assumption. I never actually had an official reason for why he declared war, but Pearson Wright is Pearson Wright, and most of our listeners, I'm assuming, will know who Pearson Wright is, and they'll know what I mean. That he's a character in and of himself, and that's just the way he is. He thrived on the drama, the cesspool of drama that became Roleplay before the game closed. That I did everything in my power to keep away from that, stay out of it, and just focus on me and my guild. And was sort of... I was essentially rejected and cast out because of that, but we'll get to that when we get closer to that. The first Paradoxian War was actually rather short-lived. I mean, that extended from February of 2011 to June, I think. It was June 2011.
So let's...
And by that time, what's that?
Let's go ahead and recap of everything that we've discussed for our listeners. So basically, we went ahead and we've discussed so far about what the East India Trading Company is, where you started in the East India Trading Company. We've gone through a lot of notable characters and people that were a part of the East India Trading Company. And it looks like to me that a lot of the notable drama that stemmed from the East India Trading Company really was Leon and Pearson. Other than that...
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly.
Other than that, I'm not really... other than that, I mean, from what it seems like is the EITC was doing very well on its own. I mean, other than the fact that it might have been struggling against competing guilds, but once Leon entered the picture, Leon got upset, and then he paired up with Pearson to fight you guys, and then when Leon lost, Pearson declared war to avenge Leon. But I want to know exactly why Pearson teamed up with Leon in the first place. You said it was because...
Because Pearson and Leon had the same mentality.
Well, I mean...
Do anything you can. To them, it was all about winning. There wasn't a strategy with Leon. He literally had none. I PvP'd him probably 4 or 5 times and he never won. I SVS'd his guilds numerous times and they performed miserably. They didn't do anything but sit there and pretty much talk shit. But when it came down to, actually competing against each other in PvP and SVS, they couldn't hold it. And I feel Leon brought Pearson in thinking he would be the muscle, the bronze, to Leon's brains, so to speak.
So Pearson teamed up with Leon just for shits and giggles to fight you because he didn't like the way you treated Pearson didn't like the way you treated him. I'm assuming.
That would be a presumption of mine as well. Yes.
Huh. Um, and then Pearson and him fought you. You guys won, and then Pearson declared war on you.
Yes.
And
And
so
by this point, the Co-Empire, Jesus Christ, where's my mind going? Co-Blackguard was maxed. We had many notable role players involved. Pearson didn't stand a chance, and he didn't stand a chance. He was destroyed in SVS 3 or 4 separate times. I PvP'd him like 2 or 3 times in total in the game, and won, I think, 2 times.
Okay.
Third time he only won because he learned how to jump.
Can you give us some
and
details?
I didn't know how to jump.
Can you give us some details about the confrontations of the battles with Pearson that led, like the confrontations between you and Pearson, or whenever he declared war, if you have any recollection of that, and then what entailed of the battle? Do you have any memory of that?
Well, most of the battles with Pearson I remember were SVS because he just thought he was hard and that he had what it took to take us down, and he didn't. I mean, he just didn't, and God, he just gets smeared every single time, I swear. But the verbal confrontations we had were short-lived because quite frankly, I had no time for him. The man was so narcissistic. He's reminiscent of Donald Trump, to be quite honest. He can't do wrong. He can never say or do anything that's bad or questionable. There's always an excuse for his inexcusable behavior. There's always a defense for his indefensible words. It's just there was no point to it. You weren't going to get through to him because you were wrong before you even started in his eyes. So those were short-lived. But the 2 wars that I had with him, pretty much, I'm not Pearson. I can't say this is a fact, but I'm quite confident his entire goal was to essentially control roleplay in the Paco realm. And that I was the one barrier to him doing that. And I fought. There was 2 wars against him with Co-Blackguard, and he lost both of them. And after that, I said enough. That leads into another chapter in the story. And I don't know if you want to have a quick intermission here, maybe go over some things.
Well, that's exactly what I was just about to say. Actually, we're gonna take a quick break from the story here, and we're going to take some questions from the audience that are listening in right now. So everyone that has a question, and it could be about anything, it could be about something we've already covered, just to reiterate, it's okay if we've already said it and you just want to ask it again, who's this guy?
I am more than open to questions if there are people actively listening.
Yeah, we have 6 watchers right now. We usually go up to 8 people. So let's go ahead and start with the first question. Which is, why did you get terminated? And let's do at least 2 minutes per answer. We don't want to go on for 5 minutes.
So, why I got terminated? Well, it's a simple answer, really. My account was hacked by Pearson and Leon. I don't know exactly how much Leon had to do with it because I don't know how much Leon actually knew about hacking, but I do know that Pearson himself and many others that he knew had knowledgeable experience with hacking Popco accounts. Now, Disney says that you're not capable of hacking into the game, which is just, pardon my French, but is utter bullshit. If you can hack into the FBI, you can hack into an online game. I digress. Apparently, the N-word, nigger, was said online by my account numerous times, according to transcripts that I was provided by Disney. That's what got me terminated. Now, having African-American descent, I'm not going to go on to an online game that I like playing, openly saying a word I know is going to get my account terminated. So why? Obviously, I'm not going to do something like that. Somebody else did. That I don't know if it was Leon. I was told Pearson hacked the account, created a new password, gave it to Leon, and Leon was the one that actually went on and committed the transgression that got the account terminated. I don't know how much is true, but I do know, William, that you have either one or two separate screenshots proving that this is the truth. Pearson admitted to hacking my account in the screenshots. You can confirm that. Leon still has not ever given an official response to what happened. We only have Pearson's confirmation, but I was on vacation the weekend that it happened in Minnesota, going to the Mall of America, and at the time, the hotel that we were staying in actually did not have Wi-Fi, nor did I have a laptop to bring with me. I did not bring my laptop with me, knowing that there wasn't Wi-Fi at the hotel. So I didn't have access to the game the weekend that it happened, because the transgression happened, I believe, on a Saturday, and the account was terminated that Sunday morning. I didn't find out until Monday after school. Right. Because I had gotten home Sunday night, gone to bed, went to school Monday morning, came home, tried to log on, and my account has been terminated. So that would be how I got terminated. And that will play in to other events later on in the story, so we can go in deeper on that subject if need be, if there's any other questions available.
I do have a few other questions. Let me go ahead and respond to the chat real quick. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, I'm responding there. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next question here, which is why did you and Breesley have a fallout, and then you wanted war with Britain?
That plays in to part of the storyline down the road. So,
just
as the old phrase goes, as the old phrase goes, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I don't want to give out any spoilers.
Okay. All right then. Let's go to the next question then. Why is the fact that Pearson also had more than a few wins being omitted?
Because those few wins, well, he did have them. I admit it. He had in the 3 times that me and him PvP'd, I said I won twice. So he had 1 win over me in PvP and either 2 or 3 wins over me in SPS. But we had 7 or 8 occasions over the 2 wars where we were in SPS against each other, and me and my side, my alliance, had the most wins. So the fact that he did get wins over me isn't relevant when you consider it against the fact that he didn't win the overall war. He won a few battles, but he didn't win the overall war. I have no problem conceding that he won a few of the battles, because he did. And he had a fairly strategic team, more strategic than some other people that I've gone head-to-head with. But overall, he did not win the war.
No. I wouldn't say so either. Let's go ahead and go to the next question we have here, which is how far did these guys take this roleplay, and for what purpose? This is given by a person who's not really familiar with our roleplay, so if you just kind of want to jog over that.
Could you repeat the question, please, William?
How far did these guys take this roleplay, and for what purpose?
Okay, so when they say how far did these guys take roleplay, I'm assuming they mean to what extent in terms of importance did me and, pardon me, many of these other founders, quote-unquote, as they're called, to what importance did we see roleplay and why? We saw it as fairly important in terms of our time on the game, simply because our goal was to foster a community that was open, that was interactive, and that was fun. And that's exactly what we created, and that's why we were so popular, because we fostered that type of community that you want on a game. So we did see an importance in it. We are improving the gameplay of literally thousands of people, and that was something that moved us, and that's why we became so involved in it and sought to uphold those connections we had with the overall game community that really led to the prosperity that we saw.
Right. So I do have the screenshot on the video right now of what me asking Captain Leon about your termination, or I'm
You
sorry,
mean
Pearson.
Pearson?
Yeah, it's in the live
Yes,
stream right
yes.
now. I'm showing the
Okay.
first one. Basically, it says, meaning, there is no meaning.
And I do want to specify simply because I have, sorry to interrupt, William, but I do want to specify simply because I have seen the screenshot numerous times myself. The account is called Hector
Yep, that's
Wildhaze,
what I'm
but
looking at right now.
It is Pearson using the account, and anybody that were to deny that obviously was not active during this time, because anybody that knew Pearson knew he was active on that Hector Wildhaze account at this time. So I do want to specify that for any other naysayers that would attempt to use that as an argument against this as evidence to the claim.
So in this screenshot, we say Hector Wildhaze says Leon has taken over, and he says many accounts. So I'm assuming that's connected to his previous statement. It's not a full sentence. Let me go ahead and get the next picture here. Leon 2. In the next picture set, he says here, let's wait for it to pop up in the live stream here. He says, now there is nothing you can do. You have one option. He says one with WON, LOL. I asked him, you made Leon destroy Samuel. And Hector says, I asked him to. So that's that screenshot.
And
right
that's
there.
another thing that still I'm concerned with. I want to know how much Pearson and Leon both had to do with this, the extent to which each of their roles played in this, because it's I don't care what anybody says, it's a fact those two together, regardless of what their roles were, played a factor in getting me terminated.
In the third screenshot, he says, nothing is impossible. You underestimated me. I had Leon destroy him. Now there is nothing you can do. And he says you have one option, and I'm assuming he presumably told us he's going to war or some shit. So.
And William, I do have to say, as a moderator, so to speak, here, I appreciate you taking that extra step to actually provide for our listeners the physical proof that that my account was had, because there are, you know me, I'm not going to state names because just out of respect, but there have been people in the community, in the roleplay community, that have doubted the fact that I got hacked and was terminated. They thought that I had terminated myself. Well, that's just not the case, and here we can see people, albeit reluctantly maybe, some might argue, but they are still admitting that they hacked or they had my account hacked and subsequently terminated.
Okay, so let's go on to the next few questions here. We spent quite a lot on that one. The next question we have here is by Mr. Mutated. It's by, what is your opinion on Pulp's rise and fall? Not Billy Holbatten, specifically Pulp with Black Mercenary and RPG. 2 minutes to respond to that.
Well, Pulp is Billy Holbatten, just on a different account, but I applaud Pulp's motivation, his drive, his determination, and the true leadership role that he has taken in the organizational skills he's adapted. And he's always told me he felt that I helped to mold him. I helped to mold the characteristics and the traits that he possesses to become a good leader. And those are his words, not mine. I don't know if he's listening in on this.
I don't know if he is either.
He's definitely done a phenomenal job, I do have to say. Both Royal Blackguard and Black Mercenary surpassed over 400 members. So, and on a game that's not necessarily a very active game like TLOPO is, that's saying something. He's definitely, I really have to commend him on his organizational skills, his ability to organize, his ability to set things up so that in a way that's going to foster overall success for the community that he's managing, and that's something that I really admire, because that's something that I aspired to, and to see somebody else doing some of the same things I did and saying that it's because of me that they're doing it is just something that I feel pride in, and that but I'm also humbled by it. I'm very appreciative of that fact, I guess you could say.
Okay, so we have another question here. We have two more. Samuel Redbeard, why do you ignore the real manipulation and lies that Pope Daggerlord uses? He is overly emotional and take things personally, and he can't handle criticism and has to silence it.
Okay, so the thing that I can say about Pulp, and he has admitted to it, is that he is slightly Machiavellian. Meaning that, so first off, Machiavellianism is the best way to sum up that philosophy, or that ideology rather, is the end justifies the means. So it doesn't matter what it takes to get there, as long as you get there. And he's admitted to it, and that it's a fault of his. So I can understand how there are certain individuals who may feel that Pulp is very manipulative and backstabbing, because in all reality, he can be. I've known that for longer than the game TLOPO has been around. However, as far as not being able to take criticism, I have to disagree, because I have criticized him heavily on certain things, and his Machiavellianism, his tendency toward aggression is one of the things that I have criticized him most on, because as somebody who's a leader figure who stands up for literally hundreds of people, you can't tend toward aggression like that. Mm-hmm. So I can understand this individual's sentiment there as it concerns Pulp and his aggression, but I do disagree with some of what they said.
Okay. All right. So we have another question here. What do you think of the current Spanish administration compared to Pearson's?
Well, if I'm being entirely honest, I don't know a lot about. Give me a second here. I know this is a live stream, so we can't edit out the pauses. William, what's his name? Who's leading the current Spanish? It's Cadet, but I can't. I'm trying to.
Cadet. Ferdinand Clemente.
Ferdinand Clemente. Okay, yeah. Yes, there we go. Thank you very much. I don't know. I haven't been around to observe enough of his administration to have an established opinion on it, but compared to Pearson's, it's superior in every respect. I mean, Cadet was somebody who, quite frankly, should have been in charge long before he ever was on TLOPO, and that's a fact I think that's a little underappreciated. I have talked with people who are critical of his administration, but from what I have seen and from what I have experienced, I cannot personally say that I have any problems with the way that he is running his nation.
Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the final questions. Samuel, what do you think about the SVS war battle with Royal Blackguard and the British Empire, as well as the Royal Blackguard using a logical fallacies to portray the image that they won? The British Empire, so that's the question.
Okay, well, I logged on for maybe a total of 15 minutes and then crashed, and then logged on for maybe a total of 5 minutes and then crashed. So I didn't log on again after that. I don't know the exact events that played out. I do know that Royal Blackguard did lose. To be quite frank, from the bit that I saw, the British Empire just came packing. I mean, they had way more ships, they had a superior crew, they had a superior technique, and that's something that I haven't spoken to Pulp about, but if I get the chance to, I'm going to be critical of, because he certainly talked up a bigger game than what he was able to bring forth. But I am not affiliated with Royal Blackguard anymore, William, as you know. I'm not actually in that guild as we speak. So I cannot at this point, and do not intend to further comment or speculate for the guild or any of its members. So I will conclude the answer to my answer to that question rather with that statement.
Okay, we have another question coming out, the last one of the day. Well, not for the day. We'll probably do another intermission here soon, and then we'll continue with the story. So
lay it on me.
They're writing it out right now.
Okay.
When we come back, let's go ahead and start talking about where we want to come back to the story of where we left off. Where did we leave off at?
We left off at the end of the two Paradoxian Wars, so we would be in the late 2011, early 2012, late 2011, early 2012 stage, I believe. We'll wait for them to finish typing out their question.
We got
Just
it.
notify me
It's here.
Okay. All
right. How do you feel about the current trend of using outside forces to fight your battles, as Pulp does, using guilds like Divinity to fight his battles rather than his own strength?
Can you repeat that question again? There was a little bit of muffling in there. I didn't quite catch.
How do you feel?
I want to make sure I don't misinterpret this.
How do you feel about the current trend of using outside forces to fight your battles, as Pulp does, using guilds like Divinity to fight his battles rather than his own strength?
Okay, so the thing is that I have not ever specifically gone out of my way to have another guild fight a battle for me at any point. I have had guilds aid me in battle, but I have not had guilds fight battles for me. As far as Pulp engaging in that, quite frankly, that's a question they're going to have to ask Pulp, and why he chooses to do that, if he chooses to do that. I can't answer on his behalf, but I can certainly answer on my own, and I have not ever had a guild fight for me in the sense that they are fighting and my guild is not. I have always fought alongside any allies, or rather, my allies have always fought alongside me in any battles that I have asked their assistance for.
Okay. Alrighty, so let's go ahead then and jump back into 2011.
So we left off. Let's just pick up from the end of the first Paradoxian War, which was won with Blackguard. The second one was even more short-lived than the first one. That one was probably only 2 months. If I remember correctly, that we only had maybe 3 SVS battles. There was like 4 in the first one. Like I said, there was like 7, 8, maybe 9 in total. I think like 7 or 8 though. But it was after that that really we began to build up Blackguard to what it needed to be. And throughout 2012, that guild really was really built and established, and was building a name for itself within the roleplay community, within the greater community of Pirates of the Caribbean Online in general. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. So throughout 2012, there really wasn't a lot of activity going on. It was mainly during 2010, 2011. Pearson really tried to stir up.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a very serious question here. We have a very serious
From
question that came to the
Is it
chat.
from you or from somebody
It's
else?
from the chat.
Can I? Who's it from?
Do you prefer ass, titties, or personality?
Well, to whoever's asking the question, my brother, you need to have a little bit of class. Give me some thighs with just a dash of personality. That would be my answer to that question.
Okay. All right. Back to the story. Sorry.
All right. So throughout, I love how we can have fun here. Yes, yes. It's the best thing ever. Anyway, throughout 2012, Pearson tried to stir up, and we might humor him and have a battle here and there. Whether we win or lost, we didn't really care. We were really trying to build up. It was in late 2012 that I got terminated.
Mhm.
So that would have been was October or September?
It was. I think it was
September.
October. It was October.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was October that I got terminated in 2012. Coal Black Guard was maxed. I had handed it to Johnny Goldtimbers, who was serving both as my second in command and the Prime Minister to the King of England, and was going to create a guild, had created a guild called Beckett's Elites, which was only ever supposed to reach about 50 members. It was going to be a guild of, you had to be at least level 45 to be in the guild, and you had to have at least 3 combat skills at level 30 or higher to be in the guild. And it was going to be exactly what it said. It was going to be Beckett's Elites. It was going to be a guild of the most elite members of the East India Trading Company.
Huh.
And it was shortly after, because I was talking to you, William, Sven Daggersteel, Johnny Goldtimbers, John Breesley, Maximilian, Jason Blade Morgan, God, who else? There was Johnny Cole Easton, all of these people about what we had in store for what was to come. With this guild being maxed, we're going to build up Beckett's Elites, and then after that, we're just going to start racking up guild after guild after guild and start maxing them out. Every time one's maxed out, let's start another. And shortly after that, I was terminated. I have to be honest, after me getting terminated is a touchy subject for me to talk about because there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of disagreement about the events that happened and the way that they played out.
Let's just.
I don't know if there's any preliminary statements that you yourself, William, would like to make before we really dive into the history of what happened.
All I think we should,
after I was terminated, but
I think we should really talk just about what factually happened, not on your opinion or anybody's opinion, just what factually happened after you were terminated. Not this happened because I was like this, or this happened because he was like this. Just factually, like, this happened for so long and why. And we could just keep it short and simple like that.
Okay, and just, what was I going to say? You know what? So, after I was terminated, I immediately created another account. Came back online. The first person I'm looking for is Johnny Goldtimbers because he was next to me. He was the one that had everything organized. He was the one that knew how everything was supposed to go. Like, this is the person I need to be in contact with after what just happened. I could not find him for, I believe it was 2 weeks until I ever actually found him online. Didn't have him on my friends list because naturally I hadn't found him to be able to friend him. The few times that I did find him, I found him twice while he was online, but he was AFK. Never accepted the friend request that I had sent. I did get in contact with you, William. There were a few other people that I was in contact with when I first returned. But I'm not going to say whether it was true or whether it's not true. Again, because we want to keep this unbiased. But I was told, and I'm not saying names out of respect and because it's nobody's business really, but the people that know. I was told by more than one person that Johnny Goldtimbers was purposefully ignoring me because he had heard that I got myself terminated by using expletives on the game, and that had upset him. Now, like I said, I'm not going to say whether that's true or whether that's not true or the extent to which there's truth in that, but I can't really remember the first conversation I had with him after I was terminated. All I know is that after I was terminated, I was, in their eyes, stripped of my rank. I was cast out. I was an outcast. I was the person nobody wanted to be associated with. Nobody wanted me around. Nobody wanted me to be a part of this community, this roleplay community anymore. And I know, William, that you can attest to that fact. I was sort of cast out, so to speak, and have pressed for answers for days, weeks, months, years. And can honestly say that to this day, I haven't ever received an actual reason why I was kind of, metaphorically speaking, thrown out of the community or attempted to be pushed out, like nobody wanted anything to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were rumors that I had wanted to go to war with England, that me and Breesley had a fallout, and we wanted to go to war with each other. Now, me and Breesley did have a fallout, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know how it happened. It happened after I was terminated. Like I said, after I was terminated, I was looked at differently by everybody, and I don't know why. My assumption is because it had something to do with my termination, with maybe reasons of why they thought I was terminated. But everybody looked at me differently. I was not viewed the same. I was not viewed as an ally by many, many people in the roleplay community. But what had happened was Pearson was trying to instigate a war between me and Breesley in an attempt to weaken both of our forces so that he could come in and annihilate the both of us. And he even admitted that to us. He admitted it to both me and Breesley together. And I'm pretty sure Johnny Goldtimbers was present for that, and so should be able to attest to that fact. So there was never actually supposed to be a war, and there never was actually going to be a war between me and Britain. That was something set up by Pearson. And once me and Breesley found out, we apologized to each other and said, we'll just... the whole time I was like, I'm not associating with Pearson. I have nothing to do with him. I'm not concerning myself. The theory goes that I supposedly instigated a war with Pearson and then asked Britain to back me up, and then when they did, I completely backed out and was pretty much a no-show. That's not what happened. A war was instigated. I wasn't the one that instigated, and I said I am not going to have anything to do with it. And that's sort of what led to Britain finally pushing me out. And that's when Company Guard was created by me and you, and we just did our own thing.
Mm-hmm. This is in the year still of 2011, or have we moved to 2012?
We've moved up to early 2013 now.
2013. All right, then
Yeah.
I know you said you only really wanted...
Between the time that I got terminated and the time the game closed, there was quite a bit that happened, but not a lot that I have to speak about, simply because it's a very sensitive subject for more people.
Right. We seem to be having
things that I've stated, but I'm simply stating it from the perspective that I experienced it.
Okay. So can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
You cut out, but that's okay. You're back now. So I know that we're only going to be going up till 2013. Let's go ahead and finish up with what we did with Company Guard till the end of Talapo. Just some factual events that you can remember.
Pirates of the Caribbean Online?
I'm sorry, Pirates of the Caribbean Online. Yeah, Paco, yeah. And then after that, I've got a couple more questions I can throw at you just for this heck of it. We'll see what you spit out, and then we'll go into the community questions. So anyone that has questions, start planning it out in your head, and at the end, we'll go ahead and have you
You
question
mean
them.
so the community questions? I'm assuming is just
The
the
listeners
Q
right
and
now.
A.
Yeah, the Q&A at the end.
Okay.
We'll finish
Okay.
up with the Q&A. So
Sweet. I
let's
love
go ahead
Q&A.
and talk about.
Well, me and you built up Company Guard to about 300 members, and we were a formidable guild that just was an attempt to preserve what the image of the East India Trading Company was supposed to be in roleplay. Because regardless of the disagreements that I may have had with any members in Britain, at this point, I'm over it. It's as the cliche phrase would go, it's water under the bridge. It is long flowed past, and it is no longer an issue. Um, I play TLOPO for the nostalgia, to reminisce on the times that I had in Potco. And I would love to do that with more of the people that I was associated with on Potco, but
Uh-huh.
I'm not willing to be a part of a community that isn't willing to accept me, and I think that they've made it clear that they're not willing to accept me. So at this point, I've kind of just bowed out, so to speak. But towards the end of the game, I mean, we definitely had a fairly formidable guild that was most certainly preserving the image of what the East India Trading Company was supposed to be in terms of roleplay. There were, from 2012, from the time that I got terminated, from the time to the time that the game had closed, which was roughly about exactly a year, was an extraordinarily controversial time. There's so much that happened, and it happened so quickly and from so many different perspectives that, believe my words or not, believe anybody else's words or not, it can be hard to pick out fact from fiction, as it can with any story that is of the same structure. But there were things that happened to me, that were done to me, that I never got an explanation for. And some people have to remember that when a dog is pushed into a corner with a stick, there comes a point where it's going to bite back. It's going to begin to fight its way out. And I think that from a metaphorical standpoint is something that was overlooked by many members of the community.
Okay. So just to summarize until the end of Potco, what did you do until the end in Potco after Company Guard?
After Company Guard or during?
After.
Well, after the game was closed.
Okay.
So there's nothing to do on a game that doesn't exist.
Do you
Unless
remember
you mean, what
any
did I do?
events? Do you remember any events? Do you remember any wars, fights, confrontations, anything?
From where?
From the Company Guard till the end. Just to
No,
finish up.
no.
Okay.
There were attempts, but I was at a point where I was sick and tired of the drama, and I wanted to focus on my guild. I wanted to focus on roleplay. I wanted to focus on fostering the community that I had once knew, that in a lot of ways I grew up in, and that's exactly what we both did. We attempted to do, and we did. It's just the way it is, and that's the memories that I have with everybody, whether I get along with them now or not, are things that will probably live with me forever, because as a community we were closer than a lot of other people who play video games are with certain members of their community. So there's a lot of history there. There's till the end.
Alrighty, so stream is online still, right? Okay, we're still online. Okay, so let's go ahead and I have a couple of questions for you that you can go ahead and answer. Gonna fix that real quick. The volume on this is weird. Okay, there we go. Alright. So, for Q&A, anyone that has questions, go ahead and start writing it out right now. For everyone, the 6 of you watching, 7,
Any
8,
and all questions
any and all
are
questions, go
accepted,
ahead and,
and
yep, go ahead and write them out now.
are
Any questions?
are accepted and
Write
encouraged.
them
That's
out
what I was
now.
trying to say.
Okay. So some of my questions I have for you are: can you name as many people as you can that you have met in the East India Trading Company, just off your head? Prominent members, people that were officers, veterans.
Well, William Brawl Martin, number one, Garatina Origin Form, Pablo Swordmaster, Nathaniel Scurvy Skull, Ben Costello,
Okay,
Lord
wait, wait,
Davy
wait. Let's go
Menace,
ahead and
Johnny
when you
Goldtimbers,
name them out,
John
when you
Breesley.
name them out, say who, just say what their title was that you know.
Okay.
That'll start from beginning again.
So William Brawl Martin, who served as, well, most prominently Marshal of the East India Trading Company and served on the board of directors. Johnny Goldtimbers, who served both the same positions. John Breesley, who was the King of England. Garatina Origin Formed, who served as both second and third in command of the East India Trading Company's military forces, as well as serving on the court of directors. Sven Daggersteel, who served on the court of directors, the same which goes with Johnny Coleaston and Ben Costello. Pablo Swordmaster, who was really the founder of EITC Roleplay. I know I'm forgetting names. Benjamin McMorgan, who served as leader of the EITC in my absence. Daniel, who was my second in command when I returned to the game in March of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second here. I know there's more people. God, why? There's so many. There's so many people. I don't even know where to start. To be completely.
Just go ahead and name them off.
Honest.
Name them off.
I like Jason Blade Morgan. That's another one I was forgetting. I really hope he's listening to this because I've always liked Jason Blade Morgan. He's always been somebody just compassionate and patient and just a good listener. And he's served in so many different positions. It's not even funny. Let's see who else here. Let's see. Oh God. Well, Pulp Dagger Lord Billy Holbatten. No, I already said him. Did I already say Nathaniel Sturgis? Well, if I didn't,
just say it again.
There's him. Maggie Wildrage. I don't know how many people remember her, but she was a prominent figure. William Yellowbones is another name that I can't forget. Good old William Yellowbones. Be nice to know if he was listening. I don't know if he is or not.
Do you remember Matthew Blashshot?
Yeah, a little bit. Cad Bane. Cad Bane is another one. Usman, obviously.
Johnny Coleaston? Did you already say him?
Yeah, I said. I think I said his name, Coleaston. Yeah.
What did you think of Usman?
Usman. He was a bad guy. He's good at what he did.
Daniel.
He walked 500 miles for you. What's that now?
We have Daniel. We have Giratina Form.
Yep. There are names that I probably will never remember. The people that I met. Captain Leon is another prominent name that I have to give credit to. I mean, it's just the way it is. Got to give credit where credit's due. There's
Benjamin
God,
McMorgan.
There are so many people. Yeah, I think I said him. I might be wrong, but I thought I might have mentioned his name.
Who else? Come on.
God, I don't.
Let's see what we got on the wiki.
Go through the wiki. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me go ahead and ask some of these questions that are in the chat while we're looking the wiki.
Don't know who the fuck that is.
General Captain Ryan.
Nope. Don't have a clue.
Hold on.
Lord Jeremiah Garland, I remember him.
Okay.
Andrew Malice. It's another person I remember. Kind of a douchebag, but it is what it is.
He's probably going to be listening in.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Lieutenant Commander Lawrence Helmbane.
Oh Lord.
Who else do we have?
Oh, this is fun.
Sven Daggersteel, Major Walker, Sergeant Jack, Corporal Grunt, Private Ishmael,
yes. James Goldtimbers is another one.
Yeah, James Goldtimbers.
Maximilian. God, that's a guy I haven't mentioned. I'm sure he's listening. Shout out to Max.
Oh,
If you need a guy with world-class insults, hey, go to Max. You know what I'm talking about, William.
Richard Gunwalker, Lucas
Nope.
Darksword, Henry Script
Nope.
Roberts, David Wild
Nope.
Roberts,
Nope.
Captain Josh.
Nope. Yes. Yes. Captain.
Oh shit.
Oh, fuck me standing. Oh, fuck me standing. Some of these people, it just make me laugh.
Jack McSkull.
God, I hope when we're done with this, that there's a fuckload of questions.
John Warsmith.
Warsmith?
Warsmith, yeah, Warsmith.
Or is it Warsmith? I don't know. I don't really give a shit, but yeah, that name rings a bell. John Warsmith, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah,
Emily
I remember
McSteele.
Him. Yeah. Yeah.
What about
was not a fan.
Stormwalker? We also have that.
Oh yeah, like we don't know who Stormwalker is. Walking on them damn storms.
What else is there? We had damn, I just had a name. EITC catalog. I'm trying to see if there's some other names. Haters of the EITC. EITC War. We could see what that is.
Where are you at right now?
I'm on the Gamers Phenon Wiki right now.
Oh my god, we should have a discussion about that, please. Oh shit.
Hold on.
No, probably not. That'd really stir up some drama.
EITC Court of Directors, we could see who's in that. Tyler Crossbones.
No.
You don't know him?
No.
Jack Goldrecker.
Nope.
Nate Crestbreaker.
Yes. Good old Nate.
Albert.
I know that guy's listening. What's up with it, brother? How's it going?
Albert Spark.
Keeping it real, yeah. That's the way to roll.
Albert Spark. What was an old wiki that we used to go
on? Gamers Fanon Wiki. That's
so
the only one that I know.
People that were a part of the Council of Elders: Giratina Form, Matthew Blashot, Andrew Malice.
Oh, okay.
Everyone that we've already said is on this page for the council.
Exactly, because we know what we're talking about, buddy.
Okay, I have some new names. Pedro.
Okay.
The Treasure Hunter. No. Richard Sword
Vote
Silver.
for Pedro.
William Damp Roberts, John Warrat, Simon Lockwood, Jack Stormwalker, Cat Hexbones, John Breesley, Elizabeth Hartmalley.
Oh. Where are you getting these names from?
These are Royal Council of Elders. I don't know.
I have no idea what that even is or when it was, but okay.
Let me see if we can find a member base.
Why are we continuing to waste time searching for people when we've pretty much named everybody that
I don't know. This is making me upset. Let's look up members. Maybe Nick Raging. Okay, let's do this. Who were some Spanish people you remember, other than Pearson? That'll be it.
Not very many, that's for sure.
The Paradox. Let's go to that. Okay, there's nothing on the Paradox.
Good. There shouldn't be.
Remember Cadet? Did you and Cadet?
No, I don't remember Cadet at all.
Oh shit. I really don't know. So let's go ahead and answer some of the questions.
Yes, that's what I've been waiting for.
Why was your character an African male to whom roleplayed as the leader of a trade co that had its hand in the cookie jar across the slave trade? Why do you support the enslaving of your people?
Well, number one, my character wasn't an African American. Number two, The East India Trading Company, under the direction of Governor Samuel Harrington, has not nor has ever intended to dabble in the trade of slaves, nor the capture or burning of witches. Per Section 221 of the Code of Ethics of the Ethics of the Company. So anybody who doubts that can just go look that up and have fun. So that's my answer to that question.
Next question. Who do you still know within CRP, not in RBG?
What?
CRP.
When I hear RBG, I think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like
Royal Blackguard, CRP. I don't know what CRP is.
Neither do I.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer this question.
Moving on. I know I was initially critical of this live stream, but it's been a nice throwback. That's what Cadet said. Who were prominent... Oh, country roleplay. Well, still, we'll move on. Who were prominent pure SVS members within the British ranks that come to mind to you?
Pass?
Who were some prominent people in the EITC that were good fighters?
Okay, ow. Okay, well, Gold Timbers was pretty good. Myself, Sven Daggersteel, Cole Easton, Jason Blade Morgan wasn't half bad.
I remember it when I got to fight with you. It was like an honor. We got to PvP.
Yeah,
We
I
fought with
kicked your
guns.
ass.
No, it was guns. It was guns blazing. Like it was you, me,
No, it
Johnny.
was actually a pretty good fight.
You, me, Johnny, and someone else. I think it was Saven. We had guns and we were versing Pearson, who ended up using a broadsword in the middle of the fight.
Fucking bitch. I should probably be a little bit more professional. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. I think we're out of questions. So
That's a shame.
So do we have any final remarks? Any final comments?
What the fuck is this? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do we have any final remarks, final comments?
You didn't just hear that, didn't you?
I did hear that.
Shit. Oh, fuck. That's not good.
Any final...
Sorry about that, everybody. That was my phone being fucking stupid.
Any final...
Personally, I do not have any final remarks. If there's any final questions, I don't know if you want to like give a 5-minute period, let people maybe figure out some questions.
Who do you still know within Country Roleplay Talapo?
Well, Johnny, Cadet, Jason Blade Morgan. That's... I mean, there's other people, but that's about all that comes to the top of my head.
Okay, guys.
What?
Well, this has been a great interview. I think I'm gonna do more of these. So, would anyone else, if anyone else would be interested in doing an interview with me, and being in your own interview, getting your own live stream and all that, go ahead and message me through the Discord, and we'll set up a time and schedule, and we'll go ahead and we'll get some people into it. We'll get people into it, and they'll want to listen to what you have to say about your life and all the role play that went on with it. I want to go ahead and take time now to thank Devin here, who is Samuel Harrington, and who did a great live stream. We did a great informational. We have some great stuff here, and
thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. So thank everyone that has been listening to the 6 followers now that have been 7 to the 7 followers that have been staying until the end. Like I said, if you want to have your own live stream and talk about the role play, we can. Just message me on the Discord. Alrighty, guys. So this is William Bromartin, or Fanboy Features here, signing off with Samuel Harrington. Thank you guys for listening.
everybody, have a good night. Thanks for listening in and asking questions. I appreciate you guys listening to me sharing the history of the East India Trading Company roleplay as it pertains to Pirates of the Caribbean Online, and actively engaging with the asking of the questions and everything. It's much appreciated. It feels good to share things from my point of view, and being able to listen for at least, an hour and 15 minutes we've been doing this. So, I mean, thanks again for listening. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.